All egg producers, whether running free-range systems or enriched cage, know that the welfare of their flock is vital to maximise egg production. That is why they pay attention to every detail, including house design, temperature and ventilation, feed programs, and of course, pest control. There is, however, one pest that stands out as a recurring problem over the flock cycle: poultry red mite.
Often these are carried into the area on wild birds, and they quickly populate the sort of poultry farm and the shed, and very quickly become a major problem. The key issues are it's a blood-sucking parasite, so it creates sores. The hens peck themselves, they become anemic, and if the problem's left untreated, it can actually lead to death of the bird. Another problem with poultry red mite is egg integrity, shell integrity, and also the appearance of eggs through red mite blood spotting, which can mean eggs are rejected.
There are a limited number of insecticides approved for use. A lot of brand names, but actually when you look at the active ingredients, which is the important part, they are limited, and recently more have been withdrawn. Whenever you have a situation like that, you are likely to have resistant problems. If you're hammering a particular pest with this limited number, then resistance is prone to build up. And we are seeing some problems with that. And it's also a function of a pest that reproduces very, very rapidly.
Once poultry red mite is established, it can cause a reduction in egg laying up to 20%. In terms of lost revenue, to the industry, the European Egg Council suggests anywhere up to £12.5 million worth of lost revenue.
Most insecticides used on poultry farms are based on a chemical action and are classed as biocides, requiring strict regulation as to their use and handling.
A biocide is any substance used to control an organism, a harmful organism, but excluded from this biocides directive is any compound that uses action by a physical or mechanical mode of action. And Mite falls into the physical mode of action in the way that it covers the insect physically.
Because of this, Mite does not require approval as an insecticide, as it's a sticky trap.
It's like having cling film completely wrapped around the insect. So it encases them and then they die, they're immobilised and they die very rapidly.
Mite is actually a sophisticated combination of solvent and then a cellulose polymer. And the cellulose polymer is derived from pine pulp. And the way it works is when applied to the insect, the solvent evaporates and then leaves behind this polymer, and it coats the insect. And it's a physical mode of action the way it works, and as a consequence of the coating of the insect dies.
Keeping poultry red mite under control is a major challenge for egg and poultry producers. Mite is a revolutionary new treatment that overcomes many of the technical problems and challenges associated with conventional methods of control of poultry red mite.
Well, it works well because it penetrates dusty layers, and these layers are produced by skin debris and feathers and dust coming off feed that comes in on belts. So given that a flock cycle is something like 13 months, you can imagine over that time great layers of dust build up. And because Mite is formulated to penetrate through these, it's also formulated to run into the cracks and crevices. And when you look in a poultry house, there's all sorts of areas of joints where the water feeders are clipped on. Depending on the type of poultry house, they often have scratch pads in the new enriched cages, and the mite hide under there. So there's lots of places that you need to get to that if you just walk through and sprayed overall, you wouldn't touch the population of mite.
There's a lot of dust in chicken houses, and the problem is that the mites live within this dusty layer, and traditional insecticides, the way that they're formulated, it's very difficult to get penetration into the dusty layer.
The reason it does this is twofold. It's got a proprietary wetting system that was drawn from crop production agriculture, which in that situation spreads more than 25 times conventional wetting agents. So that gives you your spread. And then the cellulose actually helps it push through the layers of dust but maintaining its integrity, its function as a sticky trap.
Mite Max is able to kill insects very quickly, within a few minutes, so that is a really important attribute of the formulation.
Mite Max can be applied when the birds are present in the house, but it should not be applied directly to them. We also recommend that the eggs are collected prior to application. Mite Max, because it penetrates and reaches more of the population, knocks them down rapidly, but it also takes out so many more, which means that you don't have to retreat at such frequent intervals as you might do with another method of control. Mite Max gets around the issue of resistance because of its physical mode of action. The insect can't modify its cycle to overcome Mite Max. It's like a fly can't avoid being swatted.